Hello to you and welcome to the program. It's another beautiful day in the city of Abuja, and we're happy to be here with you this morning as we take you through some select headlines and analyze them together. My name is Adewale Olashukwu. Of course, I'm not doing this alone. I'm joined by my colleague.
Chinatu Oji.
Welcome to the program, Chinatu. The issue of insecurity in Nigeria is still trailing with the killings of people in Delta State. There's a lot of reaction from different quarters. We've seen the Senate committee on security meet with all service chiefs, and we've had different people reaction from different political parties and even aspirants to talk about how can we make sure this problem does not repeat itself and create a lasting solution to the problem. And I mean, condolences to the families as well.
Exactly. Just this morning, I was seeing a clip where the Senate President, Akpabio, saying that he doesn't even think that most of those people who committed those crimes are from the Niger Delta. However, the government is going to fish them out, and I think that's what we want to
Exactly,
see.
and bring the perpetrators to book, and innocent people should never have to pay for the things they didn't do. So now we're going to our first newspaper this morning from Punch News. We have the National Assembly passes student loan bill, proposes jail for defaulters. The National Assembly on Wednesday passed the Student Loan Access to Higher Education Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2024. The request came a day after the announcement of a temporary suspension of the commencement of the student loan scheme, which allows students of tertiary institutions access interest-free loans to complete their studies. The amendment sought to the act by the President Bola Tinubu, according to an explanatory memorandum made available to reporters, including the removal of the family income threshold as a condition for applying for the student loan. It also removed the guarantor requirement so that students can now apply for and receive loans subject to application and identity verification guidelines as provided by the fund. So we had a delay on the inauguration of the student loan, and we've had the president reach out to the National Assembly to repeal the bill at the National Assembly and reenact a new one to look at different loopholes, because a lot of Nigerians had a lot of things to say. You cannot have all this criteria for people students to apply, and you say you want to so-called their pain. And I think it's an action in the right direction that the plight of Nigerians will actually listen to, and the president did take an action, and we've seen that a lot of things has been made to be easy for students. You can now apply without having to pay for your parents' default of any loan in their prior. I mean, in Nigeria, it's a constitutional right that you cannot pay for the crime of somebody else. So the extension that whether your parent has defaulted on a loan, that means you will be excluded from the student loan has been removed. Now people do not need to have several guarantors with high exactly before they can do that. So we think the student loan will do something good.
Wale, when I saw the jail term for people who default, I was wondering, people who cannot even afford to pay their fees are those you're making these rules for. I mean, if they could pay their fees, why would they need the loan? But I'm happy that it's been reenacted now. It just means that the government listens to the cry of the masses.
Exactly. And also just looking at what you mentioned about repayment of the loan, now you can actually, it's still 2 years after you've been able to finish your higher education.
At least
the payment starts from 2 years. But even if you do not get a job at that time, you still can write to the authority to ask for more time so that you can get your things together before you start the payment. So that means if you don't pay after 2 years, you're not going to jail. You can still make sure that you are doing the right thing for the government to understand that you're not yet gainfully employed.
Yes. So I think from there, let's just move to the nation, where the Central Bank of Nigeria has settled all forex backlog, with external reserve rising to 34.11 billion naira. Wow. The CBN has cleared 7 billion foreign exchange backlog inherited by the governor, Yemi Cardoso. The move is in a way to fulfill his pledge on his appointment and signifies a significant step towards restoring confidence in the economy. In a statement made yesterday, the CBN Acting Director of Corporate Communication, Mrs. Hakama Sidi Ali, confirmed the settlement of all valid forex exchange backlog claims. The CBN also said that it employed Deloitte Consulting, an independent auditing firm, to meticulously assess the transactions, ensuring that only legitimate claims were honored. External reserves have been a significant rise, reaching have seen rather a significant rise, reaching 34.11 billion as of March 7, 2024, the highest level in 8 months. I think I must give kudos to the governor
Yeah,
of
a little of
CBN. I
expectations from
mean,
them.
it was on them, especially with the way they came in, you know, the pressure to become perfect and almost perform magic was there. But in the space of 8 months, this is what he's been able to accomplish. Just makes sense that, okay, when people are on their tools and ready to work, it means they can work. And you know what this whole backlog of a thing does? It means that the financial burden on the country is also taken away. So a very fair example to make is, you know how kids go into stores to buy toys and, you know, you're lining up to get the toys. I'm just trying to play with this as
Yeah,
much as I
an
can.
analogy.
Yeah, as much as I can. So kids line up to get toys and then you're wondering, what does Nigeria have to do with this? When you line up to get these toys, it means that by the time your own turn gets to reach, if you're not careful, there might be nothing left for you.
For you.
And so we are at the forefront now, championing and getting the backlog cleared and then ensuring that our external reserve has risen to a magnificent point. It just really makes sense to me.
It does make sense because it actually also it strengthens our economy and improves confidence for investors both locally and internationally. So we've had a lot of people saying their money have been trapped in Nigeria and they can't really make that exchange. Now we've seen that this can actually be done within a very short period of time. And the report given by the spokesperson of the CBN also said that this was legit. The got what's it called? Deloitte,
the auditing
review,
firm,
to audit all these claims, and the legitimate ones were paid. So because we can't have a country paying for things that we didn't actually commit to. So I think it's going to improve investors' confidence and it's going to boost our economy and see what we can do better for the country. But I think going forward, we shouldn't be able to have these backlogs to run for months or even years before it can be resolved because it's easy to destroy something for a very long time, for a very short period of time, but to regain that confidence from the international community and to see, even for people doing businesses in Nigeria, it takes a longer time for people to readjust into the system and be confident enough to make their investments knowing that their money will come out, they will get the forex exchange as and when due for their businesses. And I also think that foreign reserve has been increased from around 34.11 billion. Yeah, so I think it boosts confidence as well because we can't have foreign reserves running so low, shrinking so low. There are a lot of things we can do with the foreign reserves. If we're going through economic turmoil in the country, this is what we go to make sure that we are staying on the loop. And that's it for that. We're going on to the next story for today from Vanguard newspaper. Allow ministers to do their job, Tinubu tells the National Assembly. President Bola Tinubu has appealed to the members of the National Assembly to exercise restraint in summoning heads of ministries, departments, and agencies before parliamentary committees. Speaking at the breaking of the Ramadan fast on Wednesday in Abuja, where the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and the leaders of the House, the President said, while oversight is essential for maintaining transparency and accountability in governance, excessive summoning of officials can disrupt operations and hinder service delivery to citizens. He therefore urged lawmakers to show discretion in the exercise of their oversight functions. We know that there is principles of checks and balances, and we have different arms of government performing different rules. We can't have the executive do all things and nobody's checking on them to see what is happening. So I think what the president is saying is give my ministers allow space to breathe. Allow my ministers to breathe and do their job. The issue of checks and balances in our system in the country. So we have departments and ministries and agencies heads being called to the Senate committee on whatever it is on their departments to speak about what's happening in their department. This is what we see in a democratic system, and I think it should continue. But however, the president has said that you cannot be calling them today and call them tomorrow and call them the next day. But I think the National Assembly should also be given that autonomy to make sure that they can call them and summon them at any time that they need to give answers to any issue.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's really just creating a balance between things, because if you have to call them, summon them every day to the Senate to keep talking, which day will they have to do the work they need to carry out? So we need to give them time, and I understand. But then the National Assembly still needs to do their job by, checking sure and making sure that
Having
these
such
people are
oversight on
delivering.
them.
Yes, because I mean, at the end of the day, we have to report to them. But if they do not allow this thing, it stifles things. It doesn't let things flow. So I just think it's generally a situation of allow me work while I work.
I think it's I mean it's a very good thing to think in that regard, but also we need to understand that monitoring and evaluation is a very important process of any democratic society.
Yeah.
That you are doing this, you need to be monitored. We can't just wait until after 4 years or after a year before we can call you to ask you some specific questions, some critical questions that are pertinent to your ministry or your department, because we need it's a government of the people,
yeah, we
and
need
these are representative at the National Assembly representing us and asking the question on behalf of the people. So we need to look at it in that regard to make sure that things are done the right way.
So moving on from there, we go over to the Punch, where the federal government has listed 15 entities that have been sanctioned over alleged terrorism financing. Their names, Adewale. The 9 individuals under sanctions are Tukuru Mamo. Should I go through all the names?
Okay. Quite a few.
Quite a few. Okay. Yusuf Ghazali, Muhammad Sani, Abubakar Muhammad, and so on and so forth.
I think the issue of terrorism in Nigeria has to be looked at holistically, because we've seen a lot of terrorist action take place all over the country. Gone are the days where we think it's something happening at the northeastern part of the country or the northwestern part of the country. Even in the southwest, in the southeastern part of the country, it's something spread out all across the country. And so when we want to tackle terrorism itself, it's not only by gun, it's not only by going after the people on the street or people in the bush or people in different areas. We also need to look at how are they being financed. And I remember there was a time the UAE also sent a letter to Nigeria to give them a list of people that they suspect are terrorist financiers in the country. So I think when we look at this, intelligence is very important. This is something very crucial to national security. So this intelligence gathering that has been declassified for people to understand is very important. But what action will the government take? Because these are still being regarded as suspects.
That's the point, because that's why I like the fact that the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, with the approval of the President, has designated that these individuals be listed on the sanction list. It means that we are looking to see that they will be prosecuted, right? But we want to see it happen. We don't just want to see it on paper.
Hear it happen.
We don't want to hear, oh, okay, and then the next thing you say, this person is back to the society. We understand the place of rehabilitation, but then if people are not brought to book to face their crimes, it means you're encouraging other people to thrive. But then kudos to the federal government for at least doing this. It just means that, yes, we are taking issues of insecurity more seriously in this country.
Yeah, exactly, and I think the Department of State Service should also buckle their belt and see how they can investigate all these cases of
there's a lot of information to get from these people.
Exactly. So we just need to understand that intelligence is very important. It is paramount. Intelligence is as important as the soldiers carrying a gun to the battlefield to fight, because you need to understand what your enemies are up to, what they can do, how they are financing themselves, what are the loopholes that they are being able to exploit to commit their terrorism in the country. So all of this falls under the intelligence agency, that they must be able to carry out such intelligence to be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that these people are actually corporate, and be able to pass such information to the military or other security agencies to be able to carry out their responsibility for the country. So I think with the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, it's very paramount that we do that.
I totally agree with you, Wale. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And that is where we draw the curtain today. It's been an interesting conversation. We started with the issue of security in Nigeria, and we're ending today with that as well. Security is important. It is not only the responsibility of the government. It is you as a citizen. You as a citizen also have that responsibility. There was a time when we had the mantra, if you see something, say something. You say something. Security is your responsibility. It is all our responsibility to make sure that we are living in a safe, secured, and
safe space.
My name is Adewale Olashopo.
And I am Chinatu Oji.
And until we come again tomorrow, bye for now.